Welcome to the Diminutive Collection. This is Kieran.
And I'm Christy G.
And together we'll be taking a step back in time to enjoy once again the joyous pop sounds of bubblegum's pop's greatest stars.
This week we continue our look back at Step's disco-tastic albums by revisiting Steptacular, the group's mega-selling sophomore album.
And we'll choose the brilliant songs we think are 5, 6, 7 great.
And choose the clunky stinkers that are better best forgotten.
So Christian, Steptacular. What are your thoughts on this number one album?
Well, I had really good hopes for this album because the first one, as we discussed last time, wasn't exactly what I expected from Steps. I wanted it to be a bang, 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 banger album. It was a bang, 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 banger, ballad album, which wasn't exactly what I'd expected. But with this one, I think I was expecting them to have found a formula because by this point they'd released Tragedy that had come out with Heartbeat. So I knew that they must have realized that high energy was definitely the way to go.
But you say that, but this album has, bang, 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 and there's still a lot of ballads on this album. There's a lot of tracks on this album as well. But there are too many ballads for me on this album, I think.
Oh.
Some are good. Some are great. But I think this album suffers from the case of there's too many songs on here. If they would have cut it down to a 10-track album, this would have been absolutely superb. This album would have been genius, pop genius from start to finish.
Oh, well, you see, I'm slightly in a different place to you because I do like the fact there's 14 songs. I thought the last album felt very short. And it felt short, and with the kind of ballads on it, it made the album feel like there wasn't much to choose from. This one has quite a lot of songs. It's got 14. And it feels like there's a good mix of high energy and ballads. And I also think the ballads are a different standard of ballads this time around. I think they're a lot better. Yeah, a lot better than the west album, which I just thought were kind of like real forgettable songs that they'd taken from some publishing house.
The album was actually released on Halloween and went to number 1 on the UK charts and remained there for 3 weeks, selling 260,000 copies, which is incredible. This album had a lot of covers on it, though. It had the Bananarama cover, Moving On. It had Make It Easy on Me, which was originally done by Sybil, and A Deeper Shade of Blue, which was originally recorded by Tina Cousins. And also, how can we forget Tragedy from the Bee Gees as well?
Oh, true, yeah.
So this went to number 1 in the UK and also number 25 in Australia, which I thought was quite interesting.
Ah.
So let's talk about the first track on the album, which is Tragedy.
Yes.
So as you mentioned, this was the double A side to Heartbeat. It debuted at number 2 on the UK singles chart before climbing to the top spot in its 8th week, and it achieved platinum status. It is basically considered their fastest selling single and their signature song. And when I hear it, it's iconic Steps. It's just one of the best pop songs. It's of its time. It's very of its time in 1999. It's stuck there, and it's such a banger of a song. Quite long, actually, for a pop song. 4 minutes 30. But I think it's a great start listening to Tragedy on this album because it's such a step forward for the majority of the songs from the previous album. So they were really kind of growing, and I think it was absolutely brilliant.
And I guess this is the song that did kind of make them. I know I said last time One for Sorrow was the kind of breakthrough song, and it was in some ways because it kind of presented them as a proper bona fide pop band. They weren't the 5, 6, 7, 8 line dancing novelty group. Tragedy, on the other hand, was the song that really set them in the minds of everyone, I think, not just their fans, because everyone was doing Tragedy. I think at one point they even got Prince Charles at one of some kind of show somewhere to do the Prince Charles hand thing, and this is what made that song so even more popular, because not only did it come out near Christmas, so obviously it was a Christmas party favorite, it also had this routine that everyone could kind of emulate straight away. It was so easy to do, and it was
simple, wasn't it?
But it was so effective. And then you didn't even have to say the words, and people would already say it. In fact, the other day I was looking on somebody's Instagram, and it was this chap who works for a newspaper, and the picture was of him with his hands at his side, but he was actually trying to hold his head in his hands. But then people underneath had said, "Oh, is that your Tragedy moment?" So they've actually created this kind of iconic move that people.
It's popular culture. Yeah. It's a popular culture phenomenon.
It's amazing. But
let's talk about the video, because this literally is hilarious, this video. I mean, I wonder if H has that many plush toys in his bedroom, because you ever notice in the beginning his bedroom is like covered in plush toys.
It's funny, they tried to make him look like such a young, kind of almost like teenager, but he couldn't pull it off back then.
And Faye's dreadlocks are back, which looks great. And basically, the premise of the video is basically Ian and Lee breaking up the weddings of their band members. And we don't actually we don't actually see the routine with the band until 3 minutes 30 into the video, which I thought was quite interesting. You see the audience bringing their hands up to their head for tragedy, but you don't actually see the dance routine till way towards the end of the video. And one thing that I really love about this is Lisa is the front and center of the routine. And in this kind of period, I've noticed in a lot of videos, which we'll still talk about, Lisa's right up the front, which I think is quite great because I think she's amazing.
Yes, and I mean, if you look at it, in some ways, it's because she's probably the smallest, and so maybe in that kind of triangular formation, she's
Yeah.
kind of like small peak, and it kind of looks quite nice.
It looks great, and she looks great. I'm a big fan of her.
No, I love Lisa Scottley. She's one of my favorite. You know what? I love them all equally. I can't choose one over the other. It's like Sophie's Choice. I wouldn't know who to save in a fire. But yeah, the video's a hoot. And it's funny. And apparently, all the people in the church, the extras in the church, were all journalists from magazine time and television shows. Sadly, I wasn't a journalist at that point, so I wasn't there. But
do you know anyone who was in the video though?
No, there was somebody I worked with on a TV in a TV company, and she's got red hair. I can't remember her name. I have no idea who she is, but I remember she was in the office with me, and she told me that, saying, "Well, I was in the Steps video because they invited lots of people from the media to be in the video."
That's very clever, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's very good. That's good marketing.
Yeah. So but the video is really good fun, and as you say, we see all the girls going to the church, and or an interesting note, all the fathers who are giving away their daughters are their real life fathers.
Really? Because I thought Faye's father, who looked a little bit uncomfortable, he wasn't an actor, so I thought he might have been a real kind of person.
All the others, and you'll also see Claire's mum in the audience and her sister in the audience, in the congregation. So they made it a bit of a family affair.
Do you know what? I think I was a little bit harsh on Claire's lip syncing abilities. Now I'm quite used to it since I've watched a few more videos. I'm kind of desensitized to her over enunciation of words, so I do apologize.
But you know what? I think her over enunciation of words is because she is such a good singer. She can't bear the idea of actually lip syncing. She wants to belt out the song. So I think she's trying to overcompensate by proving that she's the one who's belting out these tunes.
Let's move on to the second track because, as you said, we've got lots of tracks to get through on this album. After the Love Has Gone, which is actually the third single from this album, but the second song. This continues the pop sound, and it's got some Asian influences in here, and Claire provides such an incredible lead vocal throughout this song. This song spent 11 weeks in the UK singles chart, peaking number 5, then fell out of the top 75 after 9 weeks, but rose and spent a further 2 more weeks inside the charts. I really like this song. I think we leave the Bee Gees and then we head back to the dance floor with an ABBA-sounding song. It's pure pop perfection, I think. The chorus is rousing. There's an elevated bridge, and then we get to these incredible choruses. I think it's more ABBA than an ABBA song. It's brilliant.
This is kind of like a beefed up sister of One for Sorry, because they obviously use the template from Winner Takes It All once again. It's got that really kind of heartfelt, even though it's very poppy, it's got a very heartfelt chorus.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
I remember when I first heard this song, I was working in a post-production company and I was working in a tape library, and I was in the side office, and everyone knew of my fascination with Steps. And obviously this was a very masculine office environment. So in the kind of control room that was near the library, they had all these screens, like MTV screens that showed things like MTV videos. And then all of a sudden I heard my name being called out. So it's a new Steps song. So I came rushing out, and it was this video. And I was so excited. I was so excited to see it because I just love the look of it. I remember at first, the song kind of took a little bit of time for it to kind of work into my brain, because even though it is absolutely beautiful, it sounded a little bit more low key to what I was expecting, because I expected it to be another high energy number after Love's Got a Hold of My Heart, which had been a sensation. But then 2 or 3 listens, I fell in love with it. It was heartbreaking. It was poppy. It was I loved it. And the video, which was I think shot in LA, in a
was it a Chinatown?
No, I think it was in a studio. It might have been like a set in a studio somewhere that
like
they
had.
Back
lot.
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. And yeah, so they filmed it there, and I just loved the green. You see, I loved all the colours they came up with. So this was a green.
The video
and red thing.
looked incredible. It looked like a really expensive video, a very Asian influenced video. I did howl with laughter though. There's one scene where H slapped a man with a fish. Did you remember that? And knocked the man out with this fish.
You knocked a man out
Bloody
with this
brilliant.
fish. I wonder what you knocked a man out with now. Um, something that smells fishy. Who knows? But no, I'll have to look back at that. I'd love to see. I'd love to see H knock somebody out with a fish. But I do love the dance routine in this
Oh,
because it's just
yes.
there are Oriental influences in the dance routine which I really really love, and I just think and it's again very simple. It's very easy to learn, and the good thing about these songs at the time. In the CD sleeves that you used to be able to buy, which you probably couldn't do anymore, they used to have the kind of guide to how to do the dance routine in the sleeve, which was so good. I loved it.
Brilliant.
So
Brilliant.
yeah, no, this is one of my favorite songs actually. And years down the line, it's still one of those songs that's got such a heartbreaking chorus that it's just so beautiful. And the one thing that I will again, we have to give Claire credit for this. Her voice is sensational
Oh,
in this chorus because it
stunning.
goes so high.
Stunning.
Honestly, it's like a
Brilliant.
whistle.
Let's move on to Love's Got a Hold of My Heart. Now, this was the lead single taken from the album. Features Faye and Claire on lead vocals. This peaked at number 2 in the UK and became a top 20 in Finland, Ireland, and New Zealand.
Oh wow.
The single missed out at the number 1 spot in the UK charts, losing out to Latin pop singer Ricky Martin with Livin' La Vida Loca. It's a very disco sounding track, I thought. I could imagine this song being played in Studio 54. I also think it's got one of the best choruses in pop history. I absolutely love this song. It's one of Step's greatest achievement. And I think we have to call out Step songwriters. There's Carl Twigg, Lance Ellington, and Mark Topman, who have crafted. They're like the second generation of Stockagan and Waterman. They're brilliant songwriters.
They were. Pete Waterman ended up working with them for quite a lot of his acts at that point, and they were really, really good. I don't know what they're doing now because they don't seem to. I haven't seen their names anywhere recently. But going back to this song, when I heard the song for the first time, it was like a pop bullet in my brain. I felt like I'd been shot in the head and I was just bleeding joy because it was one of the best, most outrageously upbeat songs I'd heard in such a long time. And it wasn't upbeat in that kind of sense where it's just kind of like silly throwaway kind of high energy pop. It has a bit of meat to it because the melody and the chords are just really they're not what you expect. The chorus takes you on a journey musically. I can't hear the disco sounds, but I can definitely hear a very kind of high energy sound that I think is just absolutely amazing. And the dance routine again is absolutely brilliant. The video.
Oh my God, we need to talk about the video. How incredible.
Well, shot in the south of France.
Yeah, Cannes, right?
In fact, I went to Cannes, but about a year and a half later, I went to Cannes with one of my friends. We were going there because he was at a TV conference, and we had to try and hunt down that pier, which we found. And in real life, it's not as elaborate as it looks in the video. It looks longer in the video, but we kind of
did you do the routine?
We did a routine there.
Oh, Christian, that's amazing.
But the video is brilliant because the sunshine yellow they're wearing makes the south of France look even more amazing. It's such a summer song. You look at it, you can smell the sea smells.
And they're all wearing the same thing, even Claire, which is amazing.
And also good to see that Faye has untangled those dreads and she's now wearing these beautiful curls. And I think she looks stunning. They all look stunning in this video. This is peak Steps for them.
Claire with that cowboy hat, I had stirrings. She looked absolutely incredible. Like really, yeah, I loved it. Great video.
Yeah,
do you think they were like trying to steal, like they're obviously stealing back a film? Would have been a sex tape, right?
Maybe it was H and one of those teddy bears from the tragedy video, who knows? Or that fish that he was hitting somebody with after the lover's gone. But what I do, I love Claire's look because she has the pigtails as well as the cowboy hat, and she's wearing a bra top again. So, but I mean, she did speak years later about how at this point in time she was going through very tough times with eating disorders because she felt such a pressure to be slim that she wasn't eating particularly well. So even though she looks amazing, she wasn't going through a very good time, but still she puts on a good show and she makes us think that she's having the best time performing these amazing songs. And this is a great one.
So good. But the next one, Say You'll Be Mine, is the best song on the album for me.
Wow, okay.
Obsessed with it. Absolutely obsessed. So this was released as a double A side along with the cover of It's Better the Devil You Know. So Can't Stop the Pop described this as a fascinating and one of their most brilliantly uplifting songs, with a bursting at the seams with the subtle, catchy hooks. It's amazing. It was released at
Ooh.
Christmas week in 1999 against competition as S Club 7's 2 in a Million and You're My Number One.
Ooh.
And the number one Westlife, I Had a Dream, Seasons in the Sun. So this entered at number 7, the group's lowest chart since 5, 6, 7, and 8, but rose to number 4 in the third week, and then spent 17 weeks in the charts, the first single to do so since Better Best Forgotten.
Now you see, this isn't one of my favorite
Oh,
songs.
Christian, how? Why?
I don't know. There's something about the sound of it I'm not a big fan of.
I mean, it's very 90s. It sounds very 90s.
It takes itself away from that high energy sound that I wanted to hear from Steps. So I didn't. When I heard this the first time, I thought, oh no, it sounds like an album track to me. But I can see why you like it, because if you take the production away, it almost has a bit of a country feel to it in some ways. It doesn't sound like, it isn't high energy, if you know what I mean. It's not pure pop. I like the video. I like the video more because the video is quite funny. It shows that they've got a sense of humor. There's that scene where Claire has got these jus in her hair, so that it's a really good video. There's a lot of thought that's gone into it, and it's amusing. But music wise, for me, it wasn't my favorite. Though that said, a lot of people I know love this song and
So good.
prefer it over the other songs.
It's great to hear Lee singing the second verse as well. And I think you're right. It sounds very different. I think, yeah, that's probably why I quite liked it as well, because something very different that we hadn't heard on the album or the previous album so far. So, yeah, love that song. Great video. The next track is, I Think It's Love. So we're heading back into ballad territory with Claire flexing her lower register in this song. It's kind of, for me, ABBA sounding in the chorus. The only thing that I think is stopping me from saying it's an incredible song is that it just doesn't go that extra element for me. I mean, it's a good song. I was hoping for an extra layer, a key change, or an elevation that would have made it more incredible for this song. It's kind of it gets to a level 2, but it kind of stays there. I wanted to get to level 5 on this song.
I get what you mean. This is a nice ballad. It's a very nice ballad. It's got a nice melody. The chorus is really good. There's good chords in the chorus. Like you say, I think it's a little pedestrian. It's not as bad as the ballads on the first album because they were completely forgettable. This has got a really good, strong melody. I just think the production of it is just a bit lackluster. And if it had a wild orchestra in there, or there had been maybe a kind of slightly strange kind of dance beat to give it something that's a little bit different, a bit like Finer Feelings, for example, then maybe this might have sounded less of a middle of the road, wishy-washy ballad, because that's what it kind of sounds like. But I would say that the song itself has a very strong melody that's actually very good.
Easy on Me is the next track, and this was written by our mates Stock Aitken and Waterman, this song, but sadly it's not amazing. I mean, I couldn't even finish listening to it. It's really, really bad. It sounded like they sounded like they were looking for a song, and Pete Waterman was digging through his archives, found a song that wasn't even good enough to be a B-side, and they gave it to Steps. This song offends me. It's not a great song at all.
Oh, it's funny because you see, I love the song by Sybil. So Sybil had this on her album a couple of years beforehand, and I mean, production-wise, it wasn't too different. I would say that the Sybil version has a chunkier, more solid production.
Was it a hit for Sybil?
No. Now, Stock Aitken and Waterman, they always produce certain kind of R&B sounding songs that they give their soul singers, and they release them, and they're never hits, and then they give them to other people. Like Sybil also did a cover of a song, Beyond Your Wildest Dreams, that was a beautiful, which was a song by Lonnie Gordon, which she released. That was a flop, so they gave it to Sybil, and that was a flop. I'm surprised it didn't end up on a Steps album. But this was a song that was on that album, and I really loved it at the time. So I got excited when I saw the track listing before this Steps album came out, and got really excited to see that there was a Sybil cover. So I thought, oh, let me hear it. And no disrespect to Lisa, because she does have a great voice, but I don't think this is her best vocal performance. It sounds really weak. The vocal doesn't sound like it's been produced enough. You know, Kylie gets triple tracked on her early PWL songs. This kind of needed Lisa or some backing vocals to kind of really oomph up the vocal a little bit. It sounds very weak. And it also sounds weak because the production is very weak on this. It sounds a little bit like an afterthought, like a bit of a Bon Tempi production. There's no meat to it. There's no bells and whistles. It's just a little bit bland. So the overall sound of it kind of lets me down. But ultimately, I like the song. I think the song's quite amazing.
The next track is the 5th single to be released from the album, and it's the incredible Deeper Shade of Blue. So this song was originally recorded by Tina Cousins. However, aside from a few promotional 12-inch records, her version remains unreleased. So this single entered the UK charts at number 4 and spent one more week in the top 10 before falling down the charts. Madness. After a total of 9 weeks, the shortest of any Step singles, the song left the top 75. I don't understand. This is a banger. It's iconic, this song. It's got incredible production. I love the trance backing in there, which was really refreshing. Ian sounds incredible. Again, Mark and Carl wrote this song. It's just, as soon as you hear it, Steps just springs to mind. It's so iconic. So iconic.
Well, this is one of their best songs, and I think this is the song that they have used now as a template for their later music. I always like to refer to this as strop pop because it's that kind of like really dramatic, quite kind of like stroppy pop music, and it's so dramatic. It's those amazing chords that are just so easy to sing over, and it's quite an angry song. It sounds angry, and as you say, H and Claire are very good in their verses. But that chorus is such a killer chorus. It's so amazing.
And I've seen them do this live as well a few times, and oh my god, it's just a sensation.
I think on their last tour, whatever the Scared of the Dark tour was, or Tears on the Ballroom Floor, whatever it's called, whatever that last tour was called, they mixed it in with "I Will Survive," I think, didn't they? Or did they? Or am I making that up? There's something where the last chorus they kind of threw in that string section from I Will Survive, which I keep saying Kylie should do with Real Groove. Production-wise, it's a lot tougher and harder sounding than a normal Step song. You've got that kind of an S kind of club sound at the beginning. You've got this kind of really strong backing track, and it's so kind of beefy and angry that it's one of my favorite songs. And on the next album, there's a song that's very similar to this, and I think "Scared of the Dark" and all the current songs off their new album sound very like they've been cut from this cloth. And I think they're aware that fans love this song, and they themselves think this is one of their best songs. And I just think people didn't buy this single in droves because by this point they all had the album. So I think that's why it didn't stay in the chart for that long.
The video is incredible as well. It was filmed in Super Steporama Vision. They look like they're the flight crew of the upcoming Virgin Galactic. But also, it reminded me a little bit of Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, Dream Warriors, where they transformed into the characters like Taran, who's beautiful and bad. They kind of like switch into these like superhero kind of things. And it looked amazing. Lee looks incredible. I want his body.
Yeah, he looks amazing.
He looks incredible. And Lisa looked amazing as well. Oh, it's just such a good video. Great video.
I do find the bit at the beginning funny where H is just lying on that ground with all his limbs cut off. That does amuse me slightly. But no, it's a very clever video. And again, they were showing that they were playing around with pop music. It was fun pop music. It wasn't being sexy and it wasn't trying to be cool. It was just nonsense. And I love the fact that they were dressed as kind of like intergalactic space stewards. Although I will say, as good as Lee's body is, his outfit looked a bit loose, but that's by the by. He took it off by the second verse, so
he wasn't hardly wearing anything.
But I loved his eyeshadow. That he had that kind of like that kind of line across his eyes. And then this is another song where Lisa gets to do the middle eighth, and she gets her moment in the middle, which is a nice kind of upbeat moment in the song, which I think is a great moment.
Next track is Moving On, another Bananarama cover brought to life by Steps. I think this song would have been a lot better if it didn't follow Deeper Shade of Blue. I found the production on this is really cheap. And after hearing the sensational production of Deeper Shade of Blue, and then you go onto this track, it just felt really tinny. And I think if this song would have had the more kind of money thrown into the production, I think it would have been a much better song, I think. It's a great song anyway, but I think it suffered the production.
Have you heard the original version by Bananarama?
Yes,
because that is so chunky and poppy and camp.
Yeah,
I love that. So when I heard
it's great.
When I heard that on Please Yourself years before, I thought this is an amazing song. Again, it wasn't a big hit for them. It didn't do very well. I think it just scraped into the top 50. So when I saw that this was on the track list, I thought, oh my God, they're doing one of my favorite Bananarama songs. I can't wait to hear this, because I thought they'd really give it that tragedy feel where it was like really chunky and big. But like you say, the production is just a little bit too lightweight. It doesn't seem to. the bizarre thing is the production doesn't support the great vocals, because
No.
with Claire's amazing voice, the music just sounds slightly too weak to carry it, which is very
Mm.
bizarre. I mean, as a song, maybe if I hadn't heard the song before, I would love it. But because I knew the original version, I think perhaps I was slightly prejudiced when I heard this version.
Let's move on to the next track, which is Never Say Never Again, written by Pete Frampton and Pete Waterman. I found this song very West Endish. I could see it working in a show. I found the verses not fitting to the chorus in a way. I love the choruses, but it felt like it was two different songs mashed together.
I agree. Yeah, it's an attempt at being high energy, but it doesn't smack single, does it? It's again a little bit light on the production. I agree with you. The verses don't tend to blend with the chorus well enough for me. It's not one that I get excited about, but it's a nice time waster. If it comes on, I won't turn it off.
So When I Say Goodbye is the next track on the album, and this was released as a double A side with Summer of Love. Peaked number 5 in the UK singles charts and spent 11 weeks in the top 75, 2 of which were spent in the top 10. I think this is a beautiful ballad. The production and Claire's vocals are absolutely stunning. And the video is just incredible. The black and white, they all look incredible. It made me want to visit Rome. It was, this is a really good song, a good ballad song. And I think it showcases that they can do more than these kind of high energy disco classics.
I think this is a very, very good song, and this is what the ballad should sound like, because this is quite lush and it's quite majestic and it's a big sound, and it feels like a bit like a Whitney Houston kind of ballad. That said, I didn't like it as a single, and I was a bit disappointed that it came out, because I thought,
Really?
yeah, because it felt like the Steps were trying to prove to the critics, oh, we can sing. We all know they can sing. Well, actually, no, I tell a lie. I guess the fans knew that they could sing. The critics would always dismiss them as being talentless, but obviously we knew better. I like the song. It's pretty. Again, it's not one that I would necessarily put on a ballad playlist. It's not one of my favourite songs. I think they've done better. In fact, there's a better one at the end of the album that I'll talk about in a minute. But this was nice. The video was very lush. It looked very expensive. It made them look very classy. It probably did them favours. But it's not one of my favourites.
I Surrender is the next track. So when this track first started, I'm like, oh my God, it's going to be another ballad. But then the click started and it led into this chorus. And then I got excited. And then this very disco sounding song emerged out of I Surrender. I love the middle breakdown instrumental section. That was really surprising for me. I think this song was full of surprises. It's a great album track. I don't think it's single material, but I really, really enjoyed this song.
No, it's very upbeat. It's got a great chorus. It sounds a little bit like it reminds me of the kind of 60s Motown songs, but with a disco beat. The chorus is just really big. I can imagine the Supremes singing it or something. It's a good song. Definitely an album track, never a single. I think they performed this live somewhere on one of their tours, but I can't really remember it.
Since You Took Your Love Away is another ballad on the album. And for me, it didn't kind of work for me. I think I got nothing new from the other ballads that were on here. It exists, and I was just like, I don't know. I think this one could have been done as it could have been a B-side to a single, not on the album, I thought.
I agree. It's pleasant enough. Faye sings very well. It doesn't excite me. It's pretty. And I think if they had taken this one off and perhaps maybe Never Say Never Again, this could have been a great 12-track album. But I think, yeah, this doesn't excite me. It's pretty. And I think when that's all you can say, it kind of says a lot.
They should take off their next song as well, which is My Best Friend's Girl. Don't tell me you
No,
like
no,
this.
no, 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 no,
Christian,
no.
literally, I don't know you anymore. How?
Because that driving beat and the
It sounds very tragedy. There's got a tragedy to
I love it. It's got a really chunky sound. It's got, oh my God, this was the B-side to something though. So I'd heard the song beforehand, before I heard the album. And I just love that tragedy backing track, but it's a much chunkier tragedy backing track, which they started using on a couple of other songs, which we'll hear in a few weeks' time when we do The Last Dance. But this, I love this song. I will admit though, the chorus isn't as good as it should be, but I just love the production. This is the production sound they should kind of stick to because it's very, very, very chunky. Why don't you like it?
It's better best forgotten for me. Literally,
Why?
I just don't know. I listened to it because I'm listening to these non-album tracks for the first time, and this one just didn't wash with me. I was just maybe I just didn't believe H singing it. Yeah, I'm not a fan of it. Not a fan at all. The last track on the album is "You're Everything That Matters to Me," and I don't know what. Okay, it's Step's second album, and we finish with a ballad on both albums. Why? What's going on? They need to end on a high, I think. It's an okay song, but it shouldn't have finished the album. It shouldn't have been the last song.
No, I agree it shouldn't be the last song, but this, for me, is one of my favourite Steps ballads ever.
Oh, God.
When I heard this song, it's got such a beautiful melody and such lovely chords. You do every. I want the words. I know the words. La 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 la. It's beautiful. I love this song. When I first heard this, I actually had tears when I heard this the first time. They've never performed it live, as far as I can remember, and I would love to hear them sing this live because I think all the harmonies would work really well. This is beautiful. This is written by the person who wrote Heartbeat, so I can hear kind of like similarities in the songs, but I think this is a beautiful song. I'm really surprised you don't like it.
No. No.
Oh, I'm disappointed. I love it. Can't get enough of it. In fact, I was looking forward to talking about Steptacular because I love this song so much. I wanted to talk about this song. I just think it's so pretty.
Maybe. You know what? If I had this on tape, I think I would have only listened to side A.
Oh, well, you know what? You're right. Actually, in terms of looking at the track listing, it's very hits heavy on one end, and it's kind of it kind of does fade. I think they could have actually moved maybe Deeper Shade of Blue up to maybe track number 13, or maybe ended on it. I don't know. It reached the peak, and then we're kind of on a
we're going down, and I just think it's. In hindsight, I think hopefully they're looking back thinking they should have ended this album with a bit of a banger, not another soppy ballad. So, Christian, we finished Steptacular now. Which would be your 5, 6, 7 great tracks of this album?
Well, I'm kind of spoiled a little bit for choice because obviously Deeper Shade of Blue is a sensation. And I also love the other two singles. So, to be honest, all the singles I love. So I'm going to choose something that isn't a single, and I will say You're Everything That Matters to Me is my 5, 6, 7 great. I think it's a great ballad. This is what all the ballads should have sounded like, that kind of strong melody that grabs you by the heart.
Mine is going to be Say You'll Be Mine is my 5, 6, 7 great, followed by Deeper Shade of Blue. Then I think my Better Best Forgotten, I think would be My Best Friend's Girl.
Oh, God, I can say things like this. My Better Best Forgotten is, actually I'm torn between two. It's either Since You Took Your Love Away, or maybe, or When I Said Goodbye, which I find a little bit boring. So it's the two ballads that I don't like.
All right, folks. Well, let us know your 5, 6, 7 greats or your better best forgotten tracks on this album by getting in touch at thediminutive@gmail.com or the Diminutive Collection on Instagram. We look forward to hearing from you. Well, Christian, I guess we'll see you next week for Buzz, right?
Yes, and that's got some great corkers on it. Woo!
I can't wait. All right, we'll speak soon.
Lovely. Right, bye.
Bye-bye.